welcome to the programme. Now, when Norfolk County Council built a dual carriageway through the countryside near Norwich, they built a range of measures to protect the wildlife, including bat bridges. Well, tonight, Joe Crowley investigates if they work and whether the council has been misleading about the effectiveness of the bridges as they plan yet another major road nearby.
The River Wensum, northwest of Norwich. The surrounding valley, woods and nature reserve support a wide variety of wildlife. This is where Norfolk County Council plans to build a new dual carriageway.
The proposed road is being called the Norwich Western Link. Now, it'll only be about 4 miles long if built, but it will come across here, cross the Wensum here, go through those fields and then cut into that woodland. So as you might expect, it's raising a few concerns.
The planned road is a popular idea. It's the missing link that would finally complete an orbital route around Norwich.
But critics say the council simply hasn't done its homework properly, committing to this new route before fully assessing and surveying the wildlife.
Of most concern is the plight of one of our rarest and most protected creatures, the barbastelle bat.
So this here is a really great example of a barbastelle roost tree.
Experienced bat ecologist Dr. Charlotte Packman was so concerned that the location of the new road was chosen without the necessary research, she volunteered to survey these woods at the northern end of the proposed route.
So we came down, we had one night free right at the end of August, and we trapped the bats that were flying around in the wood that night. So in 3 hours we managed to catch 22 bats.
Wow.
Of 5 different species.
2 of them were female barbastelles, and Charlotte attached tiny radio transmitters to them to track them back to their roost trees.
One of the trees, we had 11 barbastelles came out of that tree on that night.
11?
It would imply that there's probably a maternity roost here in these woods. So it's a really important area in terms of the population and securing that population.
The council's surveys didn't include trapping and tagging bats here, and they don't seem to be aware of a barbastelle maternity roost in these woods. What's more, the council decided on the route for the new road through part of these woods after just 1 month of last summer's bat surveys.
You need a whole season, and that's what the guidelines state as well, particularly if you're dealing with a very rare species like the barbastelle and you're dealing with a big infrastructure project that's going to have significant impacts.
So they rushed this, that's what you're saying?
That's what it would seem like, yes. Yeah. It feels a bit more like they're trying to sort of sort out the ecology retrospectively rather than actually having the ecological data to inform the route selection, which is key.
Norfolk County Council says it did conduct the appropriate surveys as agreed with Natural England. And as we'll hear later, they say wildlife monitoring is ongoing. Barbastelle bat numbers are decreasing and they're listed as near threatened. They're a species that flies low to the ground, so they're particularly vulnerable to new roads that sever their flight and feeding routes.
As a result, road builders have to declare how they're going to reduce or mitigate the potentially devastating impact of a new road on wildlife like barbastelle bats.
And that's where these come in, bat bridges, officially known as bat gantries. The proposed new road is effectively an extension of the Norwich NDR, the Northern Distributor Road. It opened about 2 years ago and has 7 wire bat bridges to help barbastelles and other bats cross the road safely.
So the idea is that a bat flying along this hedgerow, as it comes along here, instead of flying low in front of the traffic, it would follow this netting up and safely over the road. The only problem is, it doesn't work.
That was the conclusion of government-funded research back in 2015. Despite that, the contractor that built these told me in 2016 they were still hopeful that these ones might be successful.
I have a feeling that the care that we've been allowed to take in building this scheme will actually possibly prove that bat gantries can be effective.
Fast forward 3.5 years and that proof should now be available.
In this, the Norfolk County Council report on the first year of the road. Now there's loads of data in here on various wildlife measures, but strangely, the monitoring data for the bat bridges is nowhere to be seen.
Despite that, the council issued a press release with good news, suggesting the bat bridges do work.
They say there are positive early signs that bat mitigation measures are proving effective, and they say that bats are using 6 out of 7 of the bridges.
After months of requests, finally the council sent me the missing data. To make sense of it and the report, I'm meeting Dr. Anna Berthanussen, an expert ecologist who was commissioned by the government to write guidance around bats and new roads.
Anna, you've read the results, including the missing data. What does it tell us?
I think it's quite clear from the results that none of the bat gantries can be considered to be effective.
Really, none of them?
No, so none of the gantries are guiding a sufficient proportion of bats over the road safely.
According to the national recommendations, an effective bat bridge is one that guides 90% or more of bats across a road. Here the proportion is considerably lower, risking unsustainable losses.
Actually, quite a large proportion, about 40%, were found to be crossing the road below the bat gantries at risk of being hit by traffic.
So 2 in 5 are at risk of getting hit by traffic?
Yes.
And what else have you noticed from this data?
I think it's quite striking how few bats there are at any of the crossing points, which is really worrying.
And do we think it's the road that's having that impact that might be reducing these numbers or being responsible for the lack of bats?
Yes, yeah, it would seem so. More than likely this is down to the impact of the road.
And it's not just the bat bridges that don't seem to work. The report says this bat underpass, costing over £300,000, was completely flooded, so no bats were able to use it. The planting and maintenance along the route wasn't done properly, leading to widespread losses of trees and plants. And very few bats are using this £1.2 million green bridge. This was a major route for the rare Barbastelle bats, so how have they fared?
So there was a radio tracking study that was done before the road was built, and 3 colonies were found in this area. The study has since been repeated, and they've only been able to locate one of the colonies. So the other 2 colonies, which are actually the ones that are closest to the road, they haven't been able to find them.
With so many questions over the bat measures on this Northern Distributor Road, what's to say that Norfolk County Council can do any better on the proposed new road? I'm meeting up with Councillor Martin Wilby, the Cabinet Member for Highways and Infrastructure. Firstly, those wire bat bridges.
When you've got a report that says they don't work, they are not effective, why is the council putting out a press release that suggests they do work? That's misleading people, isn't it?
I don't necessarily agree with that, because in the report it clearly states that some bats are using some of the bridges. We should monitor them, and if they don't work over a period of time, fine, we'll accept that.
When you've got scientists saying they don't work, but the council puts out a press release saying it's positive, good early signs, that's not what the data says.
Well, for me, it is positive signs that they are using, or some of the bats are using some of the bridges.
But you're not looking to put any more bat gantries in on the new road if it's built, are you?
Not at this present time, we don't think so.
Because they don't work?
But we will do what we're advised to do at the right time on the new road, the Norwich Western Link.
Let's talk about the new route.
Yeah.
Why was the new route chosen so fast? Why didn't you wait for a full season of monitoring? You chose it after just 1 month of monitoring.
There was 4 options. We scored all the routes on different measures, and the option C seemed the best.
So you didn't do routes A and B because there were Barbastelles in that area. That's one of the reasons you didn't do A and B. But
Yeah.
there were also Barbastelles in C, but you just didn't look for them, so you didn't find them, but you chose that route.
We looked at all the options. Option C seemed the best choice to take.
But you didn't have all the information.
But we're building all that up, aren't we now?
Is it time to say, look, we're going to build a new road, and actually we can't protect the bats, let's not protect, we can, and let's not waste public money on it. Let's just be honest, we need a new road, and that's the cost of progress.
Certainly not. We're proud of our wildlife here in Norfolk, and we'll do everything we can to protect them. I don't want to see bat populations go down, or any wildlife, but we're here to put in mitigation to help that, and in long term I'm sure it will.
If Norfolk County Council does build the Norwich Western Link, it's unlikely they'll include any more bat bridges. But the problem still remains. How do you protect wildlife like rare bats from major new roads like this? And just how much trust can we have in the council and its contractors to get it right next time?